Well, so then there's like the internal buy-in and stuff. So like you can do external buy-in very alignment very easily without actually worrying about people. Um, because you can put it out there and it will land. If you do it right, it's going to land with the people that you want it to land with.
Yep.
Um, and so
And
it's
if
kind
it
of like,
doesn't, what do you
yeah,
do then?
you go and reevaluate. But we're gonna get to that in a minute. Don't shush. We're not talking about that yet. But the internal one is the hard one because like you can't. I don't recommend firing your entire sales team because there's no alignment. Because it is it feels like everybody's head is on the
Over
chopping
their
block.
heads.
Because it is a very expensive process to go through refilling your sales team. It just unfortunately it is. I'm sorry, Anyway, um, so that being said,
Yes.
the
Whose sales team should we be firing next week?
yeah,
We should do
exactly.
that. Like that should be a separate podcast. Like we should like randomly call companies and send messages to the CEOs like, "Hey, we're a secret shopper. Your whole sales team should be fired."
Yeah, yeah, we should.
Right? I'm not going to
Ooh.
provide you any kind of real solution, right? Except to listen to my podcast and see all the reasons why
Yeah.
you're terrible, dude. Except for this one gay guy, he was amazing.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be like, "That's
Yeah.
the one guy I wanted to fire."
Yeah, exactly.
Stupid jokes.
Oh my gosh, stupid jokes are going to get us canceled.
I
Speaking
was
of,
protecting the special class.
I got it. I'll tell you this right now. That one post that I put, the cancellations are still being attempted on me, and it's not working.
Oh,
It's
that's
just
great. Keep
not,
it going.
dude. I'm
Boost it.
I'm going to have like more than doubled my follower count by the end of the month.
Well done. Well done.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Anyway, no, I'm one of the. So let me put it this way. What you if you are trying to create alignment on things on your value proposition and your things internally, you need to get buy-in from your people internally. You cannot go in. You can, but you cannot or should not go in and be dictatorial about things to your people. Like
There's a
it,
time for that, right?
there there
If you got
is.
a low cost call center that is just like,
Well, that's
you know,
yes, but that's
use
not the
newspapers,
scenario.
do laundry, then
That's
okay.
not who I'm talking about.
Right. If you value your team, if they're more technical, more skilled, right?
Yeah,
And it's
and they're
somewhat hard
good.
to replace them, right? If they're
Yep.
just not another cog in the machine, then this whole process, even if you do it in a light version, right? Just the CEO and the marketing guy, right?
Yep.
Together going through it, you're going to create enough alignments where you're going to be like, and I stress this, right? There's no product that's fulfills everybody's needs,
Right.
right?
One
There's
hundred
nothing
percent
out there that's
true.
going to satisfy every need. That'd be awkward, right?
Yep.
In the end, that'd be awkward. Like I know every stakeholder wants to have everything filled so that they can make little prisoners of their customers, but it doesn't work like that, right? So focus on your strengths and acknowledge your weaknesses and just get it out there and improve on the product over time and
Yeah.
focus on those core things that you're really good at providing value.
Yep.
And that
The other
when
aspect
you
of that.
yeah,
Anyway.
finding that is what
Yeah.
makes sales easier.
Yep. But like one of the big things, you keep focusing on the external stuff and doing external stuff. I'm really focusing in on internal. Like, let me put it this way: I've seen it done. I've seen this done wrong so many places. Okay,
Hmm.
where the leadership of the company decides we are going in a different direction.
Yep.
This is now our new value proposition, and then
Hmm.
they come to their team and they come to everybody and they sit there and they're all fired up and excited about it, and then they come into the team and they like get um they just dictate to the team, this is how we're doing things, this is what the way we're going to go for going
Hmm.
forward. Okay,
Okay.
that's wrong.
Well, what
You
they have there is the failure to create alignments in the first place.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. To create, like, for internal teams and stuff, when you need, like I said, you need to create buy-in to get that alignment. People need to
Mhm.
buy into the value proposition. People need to buy into the vision that you're setting forth and setting
Yep.
forward on things. There are many different ways to do that. A lot of it, some of it is getting a town hall meeting together and say, hey, look, this is the direction that we want to go in. Okay, let's actually talk about it, and let's discuss it with the entire company and stuff. And it needs to be a discussion. There needs to be an open forum. There needs to be a question and answer. There needs to be a, hey, I'm not and when you deliver that stuff and when you discuss that stuff, you have to do it in a way that invites that, what do you call it, that discussion.
Discussion. Mhm.
Like, I've seen too many people be come up and be like, these are now our core values. Well, wait a second, like,
They're like,
you
and
already
where did you have where the did you get those core values from, dear?
exactly,
Right? They're
exactly.
like, yeah, no, I got them out of a book, and this guy says if I do this, this,
Yeah,
and this, I will be
yeah.
a Batman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, I didn't decide to work for Batman. So you know what? You didn't ask me in the first place. I'm going to sabotage the shit out of you.
Well, and
I'll make sure you get a
that's
job.
the danger right there. So you end up in a scenario of what's kind of become known as quiet quitting, which is kind of a silly thing. It's just basically people coming in and doing the bare minimum. It's dumb because people have been doing that for centuries. So congratulations, Gen Z. You've just given a label to something that's been around for centuries.
Yep.
You're so
We also
smart and
call it
intelligent.
lazy, but you don't want to hear that. So better
Yeah,
say you're
because
quietly
yeah,
quitting than you're a lazy, useful son of
yep, yep. I exactly. So
a.
just the framework that I would recommend when you are changing your value proposition for the entire company is, the way I would suggest that you go about it is that you do get everybody in a room together,
Hmm.
essentially, preferably in person than on Zoom. But I do understand that there are tons of teams that are remote or have remote people. Do not dare to call them in on their vacation. You are
I have mixed
you.
feelings about that. If it's really
I
important, right, you find a way to make it right,
yes.
right? So, and that's why I say, allow a Zoom. Like if they're on vacation, right? I would
Well,
not
so
require
let,
them to
let,
come. I'd be
let me
like,
put
hey,
it this way: for about if if the company's changing direction and changing like their value and stuff, that is not a reason to call somebody in on a Zoom. If there is a major issue with the product or the thing that they are currently working on, and they're the only ones, yeah, that's definitely call them in. That's important. Anyway, we could get into that whole discussion some other time.
that's a big discussion. It's very dependent.
Yeah, because the statistics show that people actually aren't taking vacations and taking time off from work any these days,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of concern and fear around taking it off.
Mm.
I don't necessarily agree that that's the main reason people will have concern and fear over it, but I think just I think that there's other reasons, like people don't feel like they can take vacation because the economy is. But anyway,
Well,
um,
there is the fact that if you are not supporting the business in a downtime, some
yeah,
are, and who am I going to keep?
yeah, exactly. Important. And it's funny because like you come back and you're very, I don't know, things are different. Anyway, let me just finish up this framework real fast. So you get everybody into the room, you give them a big presentation. Again, you when you as you give the presentation, and how you give the presentation is extremely important, because if you give it in a certain way, it's not going to invite the type of feedback and discussion that you need, because again, you need buy-in. Um, so you do that, and you give that, and then you go then, and this is the important part. You don't do it once, all right? Then you have the department heads talk to their departments, because they need to go in and give the presentation again to their departments, because then they can give it in a way that is specific to that department. And then it can even go down, and then you should even go down further and say, and do it at the team level too, if you're a big enough company that has departments with multiple teams. So that's the other part, the other big part of it. So again, it's like, you can't just give it once. You can't do it in such a way that you're sitting there and you are dictating to people what is going, how it's going to be. You need to invite conversation, because you need to invite people to buy in. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to listen to the people that are coming in and giving feedback and stuff on the new value proposition. All right.
Mhm.
And, okay, because the reason why that's the case is that people need to feel like they've been heard. They need to feel like that they've been given the opportunity to voice their concerns, and that they've been heard. Because once they do that, then this is like the crazy thing about psychology. They can buy in to whatever it is, as long as been given the opportunity to to respectfully and frankly give their feedback. You don't necessarily need to do what they say. You don't necessarily need to listen to what they say. You but
If you can
you
acknowledge it in some way, it's very
Yes,
beneficial.
exactly. So anyway, that's it. Which leads hopefully to the next section, because you need to be able to know that you have actually created alignment. So how do we do that, Phil? How do we know that we've created
All
alignment?
right. So the they basically give you three stages, right? You have whatever your
Yeah.
target is, right? You define the indicator, and then you tie it to which building block within the value proposition that you're targeting, right? So, for example, they give an example. If it's a downloadable template and guides, then you want to see if 50% of the people who are interested in your marketing, for example, download
Uh
the
huh.
actual resource or not, right?
Uh huh.
That's your target. From that point, you can see how many people are actually downloading the resource, how many downloads you're getting, right? And you can track the progress. You might be then going to say, okay, cool. What's the conversion rate? What's the uh, do surveys? How satisfied are people afterwards or before? Right? It's good to have a beginning and after metrics.
Mm-hmm.
You can see uh what's the physical result or the intellectual result of the work done, right? But it basically goes to defining a target, defining what your goal is, then seeing a way to measure that and make sure it's tied back to the specific in our case, if you were looking at the value proposition, one of the little
Yep.
tabs, right?
Yep.
I think I
And
summed
one
it
of
up
the,
well in its
I think
space.
you did. I think you did pretty well. I mean, I think one of the things that we should definitely push hard on is um, yeah, no, I think that's right. I think
And
one of
this is
the,
something you do once and you take your lesson card and you never worry about it ever again because
yeah, you never go back to it.
you
You
never
never
go back to it,
review.
right? Once you get your initial target, you made that goal, it's history. Don't worry about visiting again
Mm-hmm.
to see either verify if it's leading to results that you're looking for, or if it's a
Yep.
meaningful statistic, or if it's improving, or if there's something that's all of a sudden a rapid drop off in those
Oh,
indicators.
who? Don't worry about rapid drop offs. Rapid drop offs don't matter.
Those are black swan events. You don't have to worry about them.
Yeah, completely.
Those are for successful people.
You, you, especially black swans.
Yeah,
You're not a black
especially black
swan.
swans.
You're
Right.
definitely not a black swan.
Yeah, no, no, I am a beautiful white swan.
The other part, so like some of the things that are really interesting too. So they give examples of like ratings on Amazon. So the star ratings and stuff.
Yep.
But one of the things that you can also do is customer surveys. You can always reach out and ask people, "Hey, is this good? Do you like this?" So,
I think that should be part of your process, anyways. And I even like to make it randomized.
randomized customer surveys.
Yeah, randomized questions on your customer
Ah,
base.
okay,
So if you can work in little questions, just Amazon does this, right? After you
okay.
make a purchase, sometime later, like a week or a month or even a year, right? They'll send you a little, like a simple question, just like, "Hey, can you answer one question?" Right? And they make it super easy for you, and then they reward you for that somehow by recognition or whatnot. And they just, by asking a lot of people even one question from your customer base, you can get a good basis of where things are. You don't have to be cumbersome. Some people say you can ask two or three questions, but I think if you can get away with just one, great. Two at most.
Anyway, yeah, no, exactly. And I do like the idea of randomized questions, especially if you have a good good question bank, because sometimes you can you can take a question, and you can ask it multiple ways, and that can get you different results.
Hmm.
So one of the big complaints that people have about political polls and stuff is how the questions are asked, because if you ask them in a certain way, you are definitely going to get a very specific response. I don't have a good example of that, but anyway, uh, but
I suspect you could look at any political survey nowadays
yeah,
and
that's
say,
true.
what's the answer they're looking for, right? If you can guess the answer they're looking for, it's a
Yeah,
bad question.
yeah, exactly.
I like,
Well, and the open ended is hard too. Not so much. So yes, you are correct. It is hard to write an open ended question, but it's also hard because sometimes people don't want to fill in the open
that's
ends.
why I mean it's hard because it requires a lot of effort to do
Hmm.
it, right? So, by
Yeah,
not by the person writing the question, right?
yeah,
You get good at it, you can write good opening questions, within a month, right?
yeah.
But the clients,
Some
right? It takes a lot of effort for them to think through it,
yes,
justify it.
yeah,
How is it going to be received,
yeah.
right? There's a lot of emotions involved and time involved.
A lot of times, one of the things that I've seen out there that has been pushed, I don't know if it's still being pushed.
Yep.
Things like, would you recommend this product to someone? And yes
Yeah.
or no?
One to five. Would you recommend it?
Yeah. Yes or no, 1 to 5.
Hmm.
Um, I don't something along those lines. And a lot of times, like,
I like that
let
one
me,
to five.
yeah,
Not the yes
let
or no
me
version of that.
let me think. Well, so I like the yes or no question, because what you can do at that point is, it's kind of it's kind of manipulative, but it happens. Like, so if someone says no, that's it. You're done. You don't do anything more.
Mm.
So that's kind of the way that I would recommend
Okay.
using the yes or nos. I it kind of depends upon what you want to do. Do you like one of the things too about doing the yes or no is that you can redirect them into a different funnel very quickly.
Hmm.
And you can, like, if you have this massive funnel empire like Russell Brunson has, where you've got 20 different funnels going on at one time, that's what you can do. I think the 1 through 5 is great for quick feedback on getting an idea of, okay, is the product doing well, are things working right, okay, cool. I think
I
the
like
yes or
because it
no.
allows soft yeses or soft nos, which are
Yeah,
kind of like BS. If you get a
yeah,
strong no or a strong yes,
yeah.
that's when you want to kind of dig more.